Hi there, welcome to another episode of Inside Out Alignment. Your host, Mary Tapper, your platform for self discovery and creativity. It's an honor for us to have Samantha Jane James here with us today. Thank you, Samantha, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today and to share with us from your heart. Thanks for coming and welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Beautiful. Samantha, you work as this medium. I know medium is mostly to say people who are in like the middleman, who help people maybe to get to where they would love to be. They have a goal, they have a dream, or things like that. But there are many different, type of mediums depending on what, career path somebody has chosen on things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about your specialty?
Well, thanks, first of all, for that wonderful introduction. And I am glad that you're asking me about that because I do believe that there are many mediums out there who all have different areas of specialties and different experiences. And so I don't try to comment too much on, sometimes people ask me stuff, they say, oh, well, this medium said this or that. And I just tell them, I say, the things that you're asking me that I'm translating to you, all that we can do is just look at the record. And the area that I found myself working in is that I'm actually training other mediums. And there's a group of people right now. We're up to about 580, maybe something like that. I didn't check my recent number, but they're training me because I'm on this Discord channel with them. And some of them pay at a tier where they can send me direct messages. So if they're like in a situation and they need to talk to a medium like right away, it's so funny. They write me on the Discord channel and I solve their problem. I've even helped people find things, right? I'm like, oh, it's in the closet. But I thought it was in a drawer, but it was the guy had put it in some shoes in his closet, right? For his ears. He was looking for his hearing aids, which, as you know, those are very expensive,
right?
Too. And he was like, "Did I lose them on my trip?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Nope." I said, "They're at your house. They're in a closet." I know. And so he wrote on the Discord, and we have the hits section. So we keep track of all the hits. So people go on there and they write down the hits. They say, "I asked Samantha Jane this, and this is what happened. This is like what came out." And people are like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." Right. And then, so it's a lot of fun, but we do specialize in cryptocurrencies because I worked in finance, like in the financial services industry for over 30 years. And I had a passion for markets. I invested my own money for retirement, this and that. But in the summer of 2017, I got involved in cryptocurrencies because as a medium, I saw the digital currencies saving the financial system in the world and lifting up regular people and the poor people. Like I saw, for example, digital currencies changing the lives of people in Africa so that many countries would become have countries instead of have not, because it was going to bank the bankless. So I've invested in some cryptocurrencies that they haven't really popped yet. Well, one of them has quite a bit actually. But so I'm thinking, oh yeah, okay, Cardano is doing a lot in Africa as well. But I was thinking about ones like Electronium, where people have it on their phone and they can pay their phone bill, but it also gives them a currency to work with. And I when I was seeing these things in the future, I was very excited about it. So I started to learn about cryptocurrencies probably about in early 2017. And then I took out my cash savings, paid the tax, and then I bought cryptocurrencies with it. I had saved this money since I was 19 years old.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I put it in that. And then one of the things I noticed was that there was a lot of YouTubers who were like shilling certain cryptocurrencies that people probably shouldn't be buying. And also they were causing a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and causing people to cash in very good cryptos and lose money. And I saw this happening and I was commenting on channels. Like I would give sort of my take on things and I would introduce myself and I would say I was a medium. And this was the first time in my life I had ever admitted in public that I was a medium. And Samantha Jane is not my real name because of what I'm doing, my level of abilities. I decided to work under a pseudonym for that reason. And I mean, there's a lot of people who do that. So I started my own hobby channel at the prompting of, believe it or not, another medium who contacted me. And it was so crazy. I kept the emails. We were sending emails back and forth to each other. And I was telling him what he was doing. And then he was telling me what I was doing. And we actually recorded, we had a meeting, and it's on my Patreon channel. I'm talking with this guy, and we're talking about this stuff that went on to lead to me setting up this Patreon channel, which included this Discord channel where I roam it daily. People are throwing questions at me left, right, and center. They're asking me about cryptos. They're asking me about world politics. We have all these different channels. I am getting a mental medium exercise every single day that has allowed me to start hitting the target so much more accurately than I could have ever imagined. And I feel like I'm 2 years into my medium training with these 580 people so far. I have 1,000 seats. After that, it's closed. The cheap seats are gone, of course. Those disappeared in January. Earlier in January, the last ones were sold. Actually, around my 2-year anniversary.
Mm.
And I'm happy to say that it's a really great ecosystem of people who have a combined interest in cryptocurrencies and the woo-woo. And then it allows me to operate as a medium with all of these people, because I had a problem in my previous career where I would be going to talk to people about one thing. And in the small talk, I might say word for word, maybe something that one of them had said when I wasn't in the room 10 minutes before. And that started to happen a lot, and it created a lot of confusion and a lot of fear with people. So that was another reason why I decided to sell my franchise back and just leave financial services altogether, because I have to work as a medium. It drips out of me. I can't help it. And I don't want to scare people. So
Right.
I work in an area and they all go, and it's so funny because I'll talk about Doge and Elon Musk, and then he'll tweet like friggin' 24 hours later. And this is on a live stream, right? So we're going to put, my daughter says, Mom, we are going to put together a collage of your Elon Musk and Doge comments, and then we'll show his tweet like within 24 to 72 hours later, something to do with Doge. Right? It's crazy.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, awesome. No, we all bought Doge a long time ago. I put like $1,260 into Doge when it was nothing, and now it's like 15 grand. I mean, I'm pretty excited about cryptocurrencies and where they're going. And it's not even about the money and the growth, because let's face it, most of these people making all this money, their goal is to, build homeless shelters and, feed hungry children and, get veterans the operations that they need, and to, house animals from elderly people who have to go into nursing homes, and the elderly person can still visit their pet. These are all the things that all the people on my Discord channel are planning on opening. People who can't feed their horses, they're going to set up a sanctuary so that these horses don't have to be put down. These sorts of things, this is what they're going to do with their cryptocurrency gains, because some people had to support the industry in the beginning, the developers, the people who talk about cryptocurrencies, who teach people how to get them, how to secure their wallets. We do a lot of that stuff. Anyways, that's in a nutshell what I do as a medium. Is I hang out over on my Patreon channel. I have weekly live streams on different subjects. The scariest one for me is my Ask a Medium. I still get stage fright for that. That is a live stream I do every 2 weeks on my Patreon channel through Crowdcast. People post questions, and the rules are you can post a question that's a general reading question, like who's going to get in this election in the Ukraine, for example. Right? Because anybody in the world can write me, and they ask me questions about stuff that I don't even have any knowledge about. And sometimes I'll get an answer, and then it ends up being the right thing. and we have that all documented. So but if they're going to ask me like a personal reading question, like, you know, am I going to sell my condo? And when do you think it'll be? And how much should I get? Right? Like that kind of stuff. They have to go back and forth with me. Like I might ask them a few questions just to make sure I'm honing in on the right person. Yeah. So that's been going very well. But for me as a medium, holy cow, that really challenges me because I'm not even speaking to them. They're just in the chat room and they're typing in, and sometimes they're slow to type. So I have to move on to the next question and then come back to them. So there's a lot of shifting gears. So I'm really going through the gauntlet here. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing as a medium after that, but it's going to be probably really challenging because I can't even imagine any medium going through this level of training the last 2 years. It's been crazy. We're actually doing a documentary on it.
Wow, awesome. And congratulations on your anniversary. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, 2 years. It just flew by. And I'm having so much fun, and I've made so many great friends. And, you know, in the early days, I had some really fantastic people. They're not around me anymore because, you know, sometimes people just move on, but I had some really fantastic people, you know, support me early on who made a huge difference in my ability to keep doing this and, you know, having such a support base behind me. It was really important.
Right. And it is such a great thing to see that people who are coming, you know, to you, they have are in their heart to serve, you know, these different things, you know, making sure maybe for the elderly or the horses, or like they have in their heart, you know, they're going into these with a goal to serve, which is really beautiful. So when you got into starting as a medium, what like really what prompted you to start as a medium?
Well, I have been, I've known about my ability since I was about 4 years old, but that was when I started to maybe clue in that other people could not do this. Like they wouldn't see these, because I would see spirits more so in my mind's eye, but they would show themselves to me. Now they don't even have to show themselves to me. They just give me their knowings. They don't have to, you know, sometimes somebody will show themselves to me. Like I remember in particular saying to this man, why is your father-in-law he's wearing like these heavy sweaters? And he goes, oh my God, he goes, that was a private joke between us. You know, so, but of course the guy had to show himself to me in this heavy sweater, but normally they don't even have, but when I was a little girl, I would like have dreams, I would see stuff and, you know, and nobody could talk to me about it. And I got the feeling that they just sort of brushed me off. They didn't pay attention to it. So I just spoke about it less and less. And by the time I was 8 years old, I realized that I needed to keep my mouth shut about it. Because remember, this would have been in the 1970s, right? So I kept my mouth shut about it as much as I could. But sometimes, you know, you talk about stuff and you don't realize that the people were just talking about that before you got in the room 10 minutes before. So it just would bleed out of me, I guess, or it would just ooze out of me. I couldn't help it. And I tried to keep it under wraps as much as I could. I did use it in my own business practices. I had one of the most productive agencies in the country, even though we lived in a place that was not as wealthy as the larger cities. The, you know, level of productivity per person. So obviously I had some good knowings on it, you know, hiring good individuals, how to train them, how to support them, you know, how to do as good a job as possible where I was at. And this, you know, it helped them and it enriched me. But it did get to the point that it became pretty clear to me that I was going to have to work as a medium because I was at the mall. This was my catalyst point. I was at the mall and I stopped dead in my tracks and I was looking at this woman. I knew she was going to trip and fall flat on her face. And I stood there and then I watched it happen. And in fact, I stood there so long and I stared so intently at her just normally walking by that this other man diagonally across from me, facing me, stopped and looked at me to see what I was potentially looking at. And then she tripped and fell flat on her face. And then the people on the other side said to me, they said, you have to do this. People are going to get hurt if you don't.
Wow. Wow. That is inspiring too. It's like, wow. And how did you feel, in your young age, having to experience all that? How did you feel? Did you feel like you were just as normal as everybody else, or did you
Yes.
feel?
Yes. And I still feel that today. I feel
Mhm.
like I am every bit as normal as you are.
Mhm.
Now you speak a couple of languages, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And you probably speak languages that I can't speak,
Yeah, I speak
right?
French. That's one of the English and French. Those are just the two real languages that I speak, but I just speak like my dialect. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. My French isn't, I used to be bilingual in French, but I haven't used it for 30 years. But, I could move somewhere where they only spoke French and it would take me maybe about 2 months.
So,
When I thought I was going to Mexico, I actually
mhm,
had my Spanish book out because what I do is I just go through it
mhm.
because I've gone through it, for 25 years before I've
Oh,
gone to a Spanish speaking country because I took that as well. But my point with the languages is that I feel like with what I do, I'm just translating. I just have this ability to translate from this unknown place that many people don't have any idea about. But I will tell you that I was shown that there are many people out there who have abilities like I do, and they're
hmm.
finding my channel and they're getting help because I blab everything, not just about cryptocurrencies, but I talk
Right.
about what I'm learning as a medium because I'm growing like and
Definitely.
learning so many things, and I'm explaining to them when they get pictures and then how they can translate, and they need to understand as well. This is the crazy part. What people don't realize is that every single person on the other side, that like when I speak to your family members that have passed over, every
Hmm.
single one has their own sort of dialect. They have their own style when they communicate with me. And so I have to be able to figure that out very quickly because most of my
Right.
readings are only 30 minutes to 1 hour, and I like to deliver value. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't do a whole lot of readings. I only do like a handful every month, and it's mainly to sharpen my tools. I enjoy doing it. And there are some people who are really in a pickle and they really
Hmm.
need my help. So they need me to
Right.
sit my butt down for that 30 minutes and focus on them and help them sort of unravel this pile of minutia that they've gotten themselves into.
You're doing this great job and helping people find clarity or getting, to their goal, being that person that is letting them, that helping hand actually to, inspiring people. And since you were first in the financial, field, and then now you get into this, how do you feel? How do you feel the difference between where you were and where you are right now?
um, well, I feel that the years that I spent running my own business and also being in finance, because even though I didn't trade on the market, I did do my own trading personally, but I had to know about all the other products out there and how they worked.
Uh-huh.
I had to know how to read a prospectus. Even though I wasn't a lawyer, I had to know how to read a financial statement, even though I wasn't an accountant. So I learned many things, and I also learned how to manage people. And I found that about 1% of the human population, they are either like a psychopath, sociopath, like they have no conscience, and that's 1%. And I know this because I hired and people over a period of like 25 years come and go, right? So, to have 200 people is not a big deal over that many years. I did have a lot of people who stayed with me, 15 plus years each.
Right.
Um, you know, but it was commission sales. But I would have to say out of that time, there were 2 people that were psychopaths, and the people on the other side, like literally like told me at one point, like what they were up to. At first I couldn't figure it out, because remember, I wasn't working as a medium, and I kind of thought this was something that I could just ignore, I'll be straight honest with you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens to a lot of people. And then I realized, looking back now, that I was actually in training, like what I'm doing right now. This is really the big important job. This is what I'm here for. It wasn't for all that other stuff I was doing. That was just to put me through the friggin' ringer, teach me how to deal with like psychopaths, sociopathic people with no conscience. Because those people, they can come in and they can wreck a lot of stuff. Right. So,
Yeah.
and I need to have a good support group. I can't have people coming in and trying to take things over. And so that's one of the things, is that I offer sanctuary. And that's my theme song, is The Cult She Sells Sanctuary. And I didn't even think about it. I was just driving down the road one day before I started my channel, and that song came on the radio. And the people on the other side said to me, "That's going to be your theme song."
Oh.
And then the guy who I do the weekly meetup with, the cryptos, he actually, when I started doing it on my own, like the crypto review, that theme song, and he loved it. And he wrote me, he goes, "That's one of my favorite songs. I was immediately drawn to your channel, blah, blah, blah." And he's into cryptocurrencies, but also has, over like 20, 25 years of working in the tech industry. And he was actually working on different projects involved in blockchain. So it's been really great having someone like that find me, and me I'm just doing what I'm told. It's just like, they didn't say to me, "Oh, we're going to get you to use this as the theme song." It's going to attract this guy who's going to help build your channel. Right. And then we're also going to do some stuff for him. And then that's going to branch out. Like, they didn't tell me all that stuff way back in 2018, because that's when I started building the channel, was the end of like in 2000. I think I started my YouTube channel in October of 2018. And then I went full time as a creator in early 2019 over on Patreon.
Thank you so much, Samantha. And you also say, you like, some of us, we grow up, not even some of us, like we grow up sometimes with people, or we have certain, relationship with many people. Then maybe we get to a point where we are not in alignment, or maybe with those people, we would love to do something else, like we don't share the same things, or the same way of looking at things, or the same way of making decisions and to move forward in our life. You have a certain way of getting yourself out of things that are not serving you, or people who are not, in alignment with your core values, or the things that you love to do, or that you see they're bringing, maybe the energy is not in match with yours. So how do you do that?
Well, I think that you have to have a different playbook, or actually some different chapters to reference depending on what's going on. I mean, I've had people who joined my hobby crew, and then they thought they could go door to door and harass individual people by direct messaging them and saying things that weren't true, and just basically trying to cause bedlam. And not only did I ban them from the channel, but before that, I put in announcements what they had done and who they were. And I put their real name down as well. And I told them, I said, block this person if they, and I think it gave that person a lesson that, what they were doing, it was downright evil. Like if you read the stuff that people wrote me about the game she was trying to play with them, it was just downright evil. It was just like somebody trying to join a space just to stir things up because it entertains them, And I don't think they expected me to come at them so hard, because so many people just don't want to do it. Like, they're cowards, right? And they use love and light as a reason not to stomp out evil, right? And so I get no time for that. And I hold them out as an example. Early on my channel as well, I had, some people who believed in reptilians, the reptile people. They tried to take over, tried to be able to run with that on my channel. And I was straight up with them. I said that I believe is rooted in mental illness. You are not going to have any play with that here. You can believe that. You're welcome to stay here. And I don't care, if you believe in that stuff, but you're not going to talk about it and post links and act like it's true or anything like that, because it's not. And
Right.
I don't allow that sort of jibber jabber here on my channel. We're here to talk about cryptos and woo woo, and just none of that crazy stuff is allowed, and there's a lot of people out there who are just shills on YouTube, and they just make stuff up, and they're like, I know a guy. And I had to put an end to a couple of them posting links for those people. I'm like, nope, sorry. And I think people like that. They're like, yeah, we like that you're careful about this kind of crazy stuff. And I want people to learn about cryptocurrencies. I want them to learn about the real stuff. I want them to listen to developers. I want them to listen to the people who actually work at the companies and are in the know. I don't want them paying attention to these YouTubers who are getting paid and pumping a coin, and having them throw money in. And so I speak up about that kind of stuff all of the time. And you know what? It's not easy because, sometimes people get involved in these movements and they give you a hard time about stuff. And I just have to stand up to them and say, no, like listen, if you want to talk about like that crazy stuff, you go start your own channel and see who shows up. Right. But you're not running things here, right? We do cryptocurrencies and we do woo woo. I'm a medium, so people are cool with that. And, we have a lot of fun. We help each other out. I can't even tell you how many people we've helped unlock their wallets for them. Like they've gotten like tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars stuck in their crypto wallets. And somebody has had, because there's a lot of, there's people who are mediums who hang out with me on there, people who are just learning, people who are interested in that kind of stuff. But mostly everybody has a vocation, and we happen to have a lot of technical people. And whether they're people who work in the industry of cryptocurrencies and blockchain or similar, where they can understand, like they have their own wallet, they've already, somebody has had a problem with their Yuri wallet, somebody will be able to solve that for you, right?
Right.
And then you just talk about it. I've even been able to help quite a few people on the channel who are freaking out over something. And they're like, Samantha Jane, am I going to find my seed words? And I'm like, yes, you are. This is where I think you've put them. And then they end up finding them, and then they can access their wallet. But they said, you telling me that I was going to be okay, it just kept me from puking. I felt so ill because, maybe they had like $120,000 on that wallet and they can't find their seed words. And they're like, So that I do that on my Discord channel, and we have so much fun together, and we celebrate these types of wins. And that's probably the best part of it.
Yeah, awesome. So on a personal level, you you say when you find maybe something, you take care of yourself in such a way that you don't allow the stress, or you prevent things from happening to you that's going to maybe put you in a state of mind that is not empowering, or that is not going to serve you. So how do you look out for those things, or how do you just like take yourself out of it to be in that state where you're always, um, just you and just doing what Samantha knows going is good for her personally?
Well, and thanks for bringing me back on track there, because sometimes I can get off track very quickly. That's what Muan does as well on the weekly crypto review. I get off track so easily. So it's like squirrel. So, the spirit gets moving, man, and I just can't stop myself. But as for the regular day-to-day stuff, I would say that I have learned so much from people who I've helped through readings. And even before I worked as a medium, I did help people. Just, I mean, I didn't say to them, oh, I'm a medium and I see this and that, but I would give people, you know, friendly advice, I guess. Like one person told me that if they hadn't listened to me and saved that money that I was nagging them to save, because they had no savings and they were doing stupid stuff like spending $10,000 on watches and everything. But less than a year later, they had a falling out with his business partner,
Mm-hmm.
and all the funds were frozen. So literally, I think for 4 months, they had absolutely no income. And they told me, they said, if we hadn't saved that $40,000, we wouldn't have even had groceries. We wouldn't have even had food to eat. And they told me that, like yeah. And so I was able to, because I actually got mad at them for being so stupid. I was visiting them. I was staying at their house and I was like, oh my God, I don't know where that came from. I said, but obviously there must be something coming for them. But I couldn't tell them that. But they had,
Mm-hmm.
I was like only about 2 years older, but I had done very well in my career and they looked up to me. I was always helping them. So when I told them that, they heeded my advice and I was so happy they did. And I think that people just have to follow some basic premises to keep themselves out of trouble. You know, number
Right.
one is the financial part. You know, always look after yourself there and make sure, like, don't give all your money away to other people. Look after yourself so that you can be helpful to others. You know,
Right.
you can't be helpful to others if you're always in a financial mess. And, you know, and wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all chase our dreams all the time? But you know what? Some people just have to have real jobs, and that's just the way that it is. You know, sorry about your tough luck. You know, but this is, you know, what you got to do. You know, you just have to work and you got to save money and you got to be ready for situations that come up. And also so that you can help other people if they have situations that come up. The other thing that I do in my day-to-day life is I don't hesitate to say no, right? So, you know, I've had a few people approach me for different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I keep having someone that I know, you know, she wants to move into one of my places and I keep saying no. I'm like, no, it's too expensive for you. Besides, you can get better just in another neighborhood. I'm talking her out of it, but I just keep saying no because, you know, I can see the future, but I don't always feel the need to tell people what I'm seeing if I'm able
Right.
to direct them away from, you know, a situation, like if I have some sort of control over it. But yeah, don't hesitate to say no, because sometimes people say yes out of obligation, and then it just makes them more angry and bitter when they, you know, fall into disarray with that, with said person that they've done so much for. Because remember, no good deed goes unpunished. So you have to measure yourself carefully, and really go with your gut. I believe that 95% of humanity has, you know, we're all light beings inside. We're all the same. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
all come from the same place. We all go back to the same place. You know,
Right.
we just come here for the experience. And, you know, in the end, only kindness matters. You
Yeah.
know, how did you treat other people? Did you learn lessons? You know, did you come in and maybe, you know, behave in a certain way when you were younger, but then saw the error of your ways and then treated people nicer, and, you know, and also didn't make all these bad decisions all the time that always put yourself under stress. And, you know, people should do as much as they can to try and have a calm and peaceful life. And a lot of that just comes right down to, who are you keeping your company with? What kind of television shows are you watching? What kind of, um, you know, material are you consuming on a daily basis? You know, are you watching like negative stuff, scary stuff, anxiety based stuff? You know, get away from all of that. I don't have anything to do with that. You know,
Right.
obviously I need information, but, you know, if there's anything that comes up, I've got on my Discord channel, I've got a media and links channel. And, you know, with over 500 people able to post on there, they do anything going on. I'm like, oh, look at those volcanoes exploding in Italy. You know, otherwise I wouldn't have heard about it, right? But they've got a
Right.
link right there. I can click on it. So that's another way that you can stay calm and mostly stress free, because, the world and life is going to throw curveballs at you. There's
Yes.
going to be people that you love who pass away. There's going to be people that you care about who have accidents and sickness, and you're going to have to be there for them. And that's why I say, don't create more problems for yourself,
So,
and don't get yourself into a financial bind. Like, people ask me, should I go to school? And I'm like, aren't you married with little kids? Like, what do you mean go to school? Like, you do that before you have kids, right? You're a mom, like, make sure that you can be there for those kids. And, if you want to work full time and go to school part time, like, where does that put your husband and children? And, that's just common sense advice. But as a medium, I can actually see how things are going to fall apart if they choose that
right.
route. Do you know what I mean? So,
I
I mean,
definitely know.
yeah. So as a therapist, you can give someone advice and make suggestions and just say, really, why don't you just do that when the kids are in school, and quit your job, like, save your money, quit your job. And when the kids go to school, you go to school, and just book your classes so that you're there to pick them up after school. Because when they're in elementary school, they still need, you
Yeah,
know,
they need you.
or a parent,
Yeah.
usually a lot of times it's mom. In my
Hmm.
case, it's mom, but, dad's pretty involved too, right? And sometimes, dads are the ones that are, taking the front line with the kids. It's some parent, right? Somebody's looking
Yeah.
after them. But like I said, there's common sense. And there's a lot of people who, they manage to successfully balance that, so I like to give them credit and kudos, because holy cow, man, like, that was an uphill battle. And there are some people who are in it, and then I'm able to tell them when I see I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, you're going to be okay. This and this and this is going to happen, but you have to do this. And, I give them some advice in order to help them navigate some of the landmines they have coming up. Because I ask them questions about stuff. I'll be like, I'm seeing this house and this is what it looks like. And they're like, oh, that's our rental and stuff. Oh, you know what? Your tenant's not going to pay you rent. That's what I'm seeing. Like, they'll tell me something, I'll describe
Hmm.
something to them, and then it'll click in exactly what I'm seeing,
Wow.
and they'll be like, oh, we were thinking of selling that. Okay, that's what your mom's telling. Sell that place. Get rid of it. It's going to cause financial hardship. These sorts of
Hmm.
things. This is what I get, right? And it's always stuff that's going to be helpful for people. So if you ever see a medium and they tell you stuff that, like, terrifies you, and doesn't build you up, or because there are some things that you might find out about it, but it's only to help you prepare, or to
Hmm.
protect you from having
Right.
it happen, right? That's, why you should probably know that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that sharing. And you also talk about going to a third world country where you're envisioning like a financial collapse. Why a third world country? Like you said, financial collapse in the Western region. Why a third world country? And how do you foresee that financial collapse?
Well, I mean, it's the debt, and they're printing money,
Mm-hmm.
which is inflating assets,
Right.
which is just making people who own these assets wealthier. But if you don't own any of these assets, you're not getting wealthier.
Not at
In
all.
fact, you're getting poorer, because the rent is more, costs more to rent something that is worth like $900,000 now. But when you first moved in, it was only 350,000, but if the rent doesn't go up, then the landlord's like, oh, well, I'm just going to sell that house and get $900,000 for it. But it's because all the money is being printed. And
Mm-hmm.
what I like about blockchain and cryptocurrencies is that, they can't, you can't have governments like printing the money. And it has its own intrinsic value, where it's actually a technology like smart contracts. That's why people love Ethereum, because Ethereum, it's not just an exchange of a certain monetary value, which, by the way, it just crossed over its all-time high this week, at over $1,400. Most of us bought our Ethereum when it was about $150. I bought my last 4 at $200 each because I needed to have an entire node. I now have enough to be an ETH 2.0 validator. I know
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean anything to anyone. I'm just having some fun with folks, but just talking about the cryptocurrencies, I saw that, and by me being a validator, by the way, someone like me, it decentralizes it. And what it does is that it allows these contracts to run through individual computers all over the world. So
Mm-hmm.
anybody could throw the switch, but you have to get them to take the internet down all over the world to shut down this decentralized currency. And also the smart contracts, well, they're self-amending. I mean, that's going to save companies huge amounts of money. And even stuff like your medical records, you can put that on the blockchain and you can give someone a private key that limits their access to certain medical records over a certain period of time. And and you can close it and you can take that from them. Do you know what I mean? You have the control. All you need is your private keys to that blockchain. And
Mm-hmm.
they've already got they'll have these mechanisms in place. And that's just to keep it simple so that people can understand that what is coming is something that is more than an entire new financial world. It's an entire new technical world. It is the internet squared.
Wow. What would you say to somebody who would love to, start with crypto, but is like a newbie who needs some more ideas or, real guide on how to identify that?
Well, I would myself, if I was just starting out new, I
Mm-hmm.
actually did take a course
Uh-huh.
with Ivan on Tech. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to send you, I had already sent you a list of my how people can reach me, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also going to send you the affiliate link for Ivan on Tech
Okay.
because a lot of times he'll give a deal out to people who have an affiliate link. Cause I mean, why would we do it otherwise? Right. It's like,
Right.
I have one with the BitFi wallet, but it's, gives people $30 off the purchase price. So, which is really good. But anyways, that's what I would recommend that somebody would do is to take a course that's
Mm-hmm.
very inexpensive from somebody who's been in the blockchain industry for a while. They can watch some YouTubers, but I find that a lot of times when you don't look at people's credentials,
Mm-hmm.
you can get yourself into a lot of trouble because there's a lot of people who are into trading and these sorts of things. And people, if they start following those individuals and then they start trading, I'm just speaking from my experience because where we have so many people on the channel, they do talk about themselves in the Discord channel and how they found me, maybe. They also talk about the things that happened to them, like how much money they lost in these different things. I just had somebody write, even on my YouTube channel, a comment how they wanted to know about Litecoin. And they were like, I paid $275 for it. And, and I mean, that's one of the coins that I don't own because I mean, Ethereum just crossed its all-time high again. I own plenty of that, but I
Mm-hmm.
have no Litecoin. And most of the people that hang out with me, I got them to sell all their Litecoin to buy like Ethereum, DOT, all these other things that have gone like 5 times, 7 times just in the last 2 years. I mean, I just have this uncanny ability to pick things out. Now, listen, I do not have a 100% track record as a medium, not in personal life, not in cryptos, not in anything, but it's pretty good. Like I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
happy with it. I would say that it's probably over 80% and the hits are crazy. Like they're crazy stupid. Like
Wow.
you look at it, you're like, oh my God, how
Uh-huh.
I look at it and I'm like, how did I have no idea how I know that. It just comes out in the blab, right? And I even talked about BAT. Like this is an example. Last Thursday, I was like, you know what? A lot of people complain about BAT. The Q Labs, the whole purpose of it is to spread out not only your money, but because they're all going to go at different times. That was the whole idea. So you get some Q
Mm-hmm.
Labs, but then you get other ones as well. Because we talked about the new and upcoming ones. Like we talked about Link when it was only $2.25, and now it's gone as high as like $24. So most of
Mm.
us are 10 times on our Link.
Right.
So if you put in 10,000 in Link, you now have $100,000. I mean, people are, they're doing the happy dance, man. They're pretty excited about the different technologies and how that's working out for people. But how we got there was some of us did lose our money on some bad bets and some bad coins and tokens. So, by taking a course and understanding how they work, and even, it even shows you like how you can check how active a coin is. So you can read the white paper, but if you go on GitHub and no developer has posted any work for like 3 months on that coin, I'm going to tell you right now, you probably shouldn't buy it.
Right.
You don't need to be a medium. And also, if some coin or token has a 24-hour volume of like $100,000, and we are in a market that crossed over $1 trillion. So really, if it's not in the tens of millions of dollars, 24-hour trading volume, that makes me a little bit nervous that it doesn't really have a following or support. So there's things like that you can learn by taking a course and using your common sense. And then even myself and Muant, we do the weekly review. I post a free 30-minute sampler on YouTube every week. And, and we try to get in the first 30 minutes, like sort of, the stuff that people need to know if they're newbies. And we do talk about the cryptocurrencies. We answer questions that people are asking because these are all Patreons asking me questions on the chat. And then what I do is we edit out anything, like sometimes I'll take a right turn and start talking about politics or a natural disaster or friggin' like aliens or something. I don't know. I don't talk about aliens that much, but we do have a few people on the channel who are just fascinated with aliens. So they're always asking me alien questions. And so, but anyways, that stuff we edit out. And then the first 30 minutes is all pure crypto. But Muant's a tech guy and he has some abilities as well. And he confirmed some of the crazy stuff. Like I was like, oh my God. I said, the reason I didn't know Ethereum was going to run from $200 to $400 within 6 hours of me buying it for $200. I just all of a sudden got this fear that I wasn't going to be able to get it, like that it was going to be all locked up, right? So here we are now in January, and they're talking about that 22% of the Ethereum supply is now locked up. We did not know this was possible.
Ooh.
I know. So it's like, I will think one thing because my human mind is, oh, it must mean that, it's going to be locked up. I'm feeling this fear. I'm feeling like I'm not going to be able to get it. But really what I was feeling was it was going to go from $200 to $400 to $600 to $1,400.
Right.
That's what I was feeling. It was like, oh my God, you better get it now, because if you don't get it, it's going to be a lot more money later on. You're not going to be able to get as much. So I made my move and I got some, and I took another crypto that wasn't moving up as fast, but where I call my gunpowder. And I've been learning so much the last 2 years from examining these moves. So the majority of our grand experiment, that's what we call it, our grand experiment, is looking back at my blabs, like when people are like, are we still in the first wave? And I said, okay, well, let's see if this pulls back. And if it does, then we'll know that we're still in the first wave. Because remember that as long as it keeps moving in an upward motion, but what I predicted was that there would be these pullbacks. So it went like over $1 trillion and then it pulled back to like maybe 850 billion, but then it went over $1 trillion again. And then it went to 1.1 trillion, and then it went back to 960 billion. You know what I mean? Like it's up and down. Like, yeah, it was like this. So that's what I predicted. So then after that happened, I said, see, I told you, now we know we're still in the first wave. So everybody relax. It's still going to be the upward motion, but it's going to continue to be pullbacks. So do not FOMO in. FOMO means fear of missing out for those who don't know. FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And you see them spreading that. I laughed when they talked about the double spend on Bitcoin. I was like, you can't do, Bitcoin is too big to do a 51% attack on. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just laughed, right? I said, they're just trying to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt because they're probably looking to buy a dump of Bitcoin. And so much of it is being pulled off the exchanges and put into cold wallets that, you know, where it goes, nobody knows kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Samantha. It's been a great time with you. And I really appreciate you with the work you're doing and, going all out there to bring, to guide people, to lead people, to bring clarity. People asking you all these questions just to find out maybe exactly what is happening in your life and things like that. Helping people finding stuff and all that, using your gift for the world. Here to serve. You're serving, you're making a big difference. You could have decided to retire and just go enjoy your life and just, but you've decided to put to service that special gifts that you have, to open people's mind and to make a difference in the world. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I thank you so much for being so open and sharing from your heart. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the sharing. Thank you for your presence. And just thank you. And for the audience, what I'm going to say is um, on the description box of this episode, you're going to find Samantha's information. So you can contact her, directly. And for any help, for any guidance on whatever you would love to know more about, and she would happily be there to assist you. So do not hesitate. This information is here for you to take action. So please, help is here. You need any assistance that you need. She will be here to guide you. So take action, and keep being creative. It's been a wonderful episode. Thanks again, Samantha, for coming. And do you have any one thing you want to share with the audience before we close up?
Thanks again for inviting me and doing such a great job with your podcast. I'm really proud of your progress.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck with that. And I appreciate the positive feedback that I get from folks. So thanks again for hanging out. And I'll tell you right now, I'm loving what I'm doing. So I'm so
Mm-hmm.
happy that I didn't retire, and I'm happy that I'm able to help so many more people than what I could have imagined in my wildest dreams. And that just really it just makes it all worth it. So thanks
Mm-hmm.
again for having me and giving me the opportunity to share my experience with everybody and maybe tell some good stories and also get the word out there about cryptocurrencies and the great things that are coming for the world, because I don't want people to be distraught or afraid when the financial collapse happens, because there is a solution. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's going to make for a softer landing for a lot of places. And it's going to be great news for the third world countries. You know, some of the emerging markets, it's their time to shine. And so I'm very excited about that news to share with everybody as well. So thanks again for hanging out.
Thank you. Great, great, great. Okay, guys, see you later and take care.